Hello, welcome back to Oracle DBA tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about introduction to Oracle's memory structure. So this is essentially the abstract picture of Oracle server that we have discussed in our last couple of videos. That a Oracle database server consists of three things. One is a physical processes, the second one is memory structure, third one is file system. In our last couple of videos, we have already discussed about how the file system looks like, and then how what are different types of files and all this thing. And in the next couple of videos, we are going to focus mostly on the memory structure, like how what are different things that this memory structure contain, and how to manage this memory, and then how to tune this memory so that we can make our database run faster and perform better. So this is the goal of next couple of videos. So the memory structure that you have seen here is what I'm showing here is consist of three parts. The part one, so let's write it down. So memory structure, the first one is called shared global area, okay, or in short it's called SGA. And the next one is called process global area, or in short is called PGA. And the third one is called user global area, or it's in short it's called UGA. Okay, so the shared global area is a big chunk of memory segment, which all the Oracle process can access at any point of time. So that means whenever let's say, like, let's try to redraw the diagram whatever we started before. Like, so let's say here is a listener. So whenever a client request comes, the listener is going to fork a process called dedicated server process, right? So this is a dedicated server process, and then again another client comes C2, and then listener is going to process fork another dedicated server, or DS2. So let's say this is called DS1, right? So this dedicated server process DS1 and DS2 can access to this chunk of memory which is called shared SGA. Okay, so this one can access and this one can access and so on. And also the database background processes like pmon, smon, they also access to this SGA at certain point of time to do certain things. All right, so this is what is the concept of shared global area. And next one is called process global area. So process global area is something like whenever you write a simple C program, right? So let's say I write a C program, something main, and then int C, and then something like that, right? So what happens is that this, like, whenever you run this program on your server, or your machine, it is going to take some memory in the RAM, on from your computer memory. Like, this int C will be stored somewhere, right? So that is what is that is called the process memory of this process of this C program. As you know that Oracle is, this dedicated server 1, dedicated server 2, these are all written on C. So therefore the same thing is going to happen, that these processes is going to will consume some memory on the server, and that memory is called program global area, or PGA. Then the user global area is that, like, let's say this user C1 is going to open some cursor, or this C1 is going to write a select statement which is going to sort, that means select star from EMP order by something, or this this C1 is going to give a group by clause in the select in the query. So in that case it requires additional space or additional memory on which it is going to do those sorting, or it is going to fetch those cursors and all this thing. So therefore that part is called UGA, or this is users, this is sessions memory, or sessions memory, right? So whatever memory I need for my user session, those things would be reported as a part of your user global area or UGA. So here is the common thing. So here is the summary that shared, as the name says, that this can be shared across different processes, whereas PGA is private to the the process, and UGA is the private to the session or to the user sessions. Okay, so if you understand this, then let's go to this diagram. In a dedicated server processes, actually the UGA lies inside the PGA. That means whenever in a dedicated server, whenever the client C1 comes, we are going to create a dedicated server process DS1, right? And then that dedicated server process is only serving to this client. So in that case, what we are going to do, we combined the process stack space is taken by this D1 DS1 process plus the user's requirement. If this C1 is going to do some some kind of order by clause or something, then those things will be part of your PGA. So essentially what you do, UGA is a part of your PGA in case of a dedicated server mode. And then here is another client C2, and that C2 has a dedicated server DS2, and we are showing the process PGA for that DS2 process. And SGA is going to contain all those different things. We are going to explain in detail in the next couple of videos about all the shared pool, DB buffer cache, and all this thing. However, in case of a shared server mode, this UGA, instead of lying in PGA, is going to be the part of the SGA, because as you see, in a shared server mode, we shared across different clients, we shared some information like the request queue and response queue and all those things. So those things, since those things are shared, then what Oracle reports is that that time the memory of the UGA is reported as the part of your SGA. Alright, so therefore essentially we have two things. We have SGA or a PGA, and this PGA, these are the memory structure, and then PGA, and then is another thing UGA, but UGA is a part of the PGA in case of a dedicated server mode. In case of a shared server mode, SGA contains the UGA, and then we have just PGA. Okay, so this is how the memory structure is aligned, and we are going to discuss more in detail about the intricacies of all this different area of this memory structure in our next set of videos.